So sorry we got cut off there. I was saying rounding this decimal here, we would get 1, 3. So 118.13. And not sure why that's not coming out clearly. But then the units, again, I don't have units on this one, so I would say units cubed. And it's cubed because we are finding volume. So that would be our final answer right there. All right, on to the next one. Find the surface area. So this is going to be just area. So surface area for a prism. So we got to know what shape it is. It is a prism. I believe that formula is 2b plus ph. And the big B and the big P both refer to the base. So let's make sure we know what the base shape is in this case. The base shape is the triangle. Okay, so that's a special shape, the triangle. And just to help us out, I'm going to remind us that we have the 6 and the 8 up here. That also goes for the 6. The 6 and the 8 also go for those pieces down there in the triangle. It's kind of a little helpful to mark those off. All right, so things I know. I know all the dimensions of the triangle at the bottom, 6, 8, and 10. I know the height is 9. So I need both the area of the base and I need the perimeter. So we'll start with area of the base, the B. In this case, our base is a triangle, so that formula is 1/2 base times height. When you're doing the base times height for a triangle, the B and the H are going to be perpendicular. So we see that perpendicular right there. So I'm going to do 6 and 8 as base times height. And multiply all those together, I get 24. Then for the perimeter, that means as if I was walking around the outside, all the numbers added up. So I have 10 plus 8 plus 6, which is 24. All right, then we plug all those numbers in. So 2 times 24 plus 24 times that height that we wrote down before was 9. So I'm going to do all of that in my calculator really quickly here. So 2 times 20, whoopsie. Sorry, you can't see my calculations, but I am typing it into the calculator. 2 times 24 plus 24 times 9. I get 264. And these, again, we don't have units, so this is going to be units squared since we are doing area. All right, onwards. We have find the surface area. So for this lovely cylinder, we need a formula for a cylinder. So surface area for this one, if I have it right, is we have pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. I'm not sure if I have that order right, but it should be that. It might be written in your thing as 2 pi r h plus pi r squared. It's the same thing, they just switched the order. I'm going to just do the first one here, but it doesn't matter. So what I know the radius is 7. I know the height is 3. I know I have a cylinder, and it looks like I have everything I need to plug it in. Whoopsie. So I'm going to start plugging in. I have pi. That's going to come right from the calculator. The radius is 7 squared plus 2 pi. Radius is 7. And then the height is 3. So I'm going to put all that into my calculator. Very carefully type in pi and then make sure you hit multiply when you go to the r squared part. So again, you can't see my calculations on my calculator, but I'm just typing it in. So pi times 7 squared. And then I have plus 2 times pi times 7 times 3, and then equals, I get 285 point, rounding to 2 decimal places, I get 88. So that one we have meters, so that's going to be meters squared. Alrighty, onwards. Find the surface area for a cone. We need the formula for that. Whoopsie. So I have surface area equals, I'm going to need pi r squared again, plus pi RL, I believe, the slant height in this one. So before we get too far in, let's see what we know. We know the radius is 3. We know the height is 5. The issue here is that we don't need the height, we need the slant height. So in order to find that slant height, I'm going to need to use this triangle that they gave us right here. This one right here, there's a triangle. Hopefully you can see that. They kind of have it outlined for us. The 5 inches is how tall that is, or how high it is, the height. So what I need to find is this side over here, the X. Actually, I'm going to call it the L for the slant height. And so if I look at that, I have a nice little triangle. I have 3 inches is, oh, I said 3 inches was the radius. Excuse me. 3 inches is the diameter. That goes all the way across, guys. If 3 inches goes all the way across, that's the diameter. So how would I find that radius? I would take that 3 and I would divide it by 2, which gives me 1.5. So I put it into 2 pieces, 1.5. That's my radius. My apologies there. I was just going so quick. Okay, so we want to make sure we have the proper radius, not diameter. All right, so with that, this piece right here is the radius. That's your 1.5. So all I need is a slant height. Since I have a right triangle and I have 2 of the 3 sides, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem, which says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In my case, I filled in the numbers appropriately. So first thing I need to do is 1.5 squared, doing that on my calculator here, which gives me 2.25 plus 25 equals L squared. That gives me 27.25. For L squared. Then I just need to take the square root, and let's see what we get for that. Square root it. I get some square root both sides, and I get 5.22. That's a rounded answer for my slant height. Then it looks like I have everything to plug in, so I'm going to start plugging them in. So I have pi. I'm going to use my calculator for that. My radius is 1.5 squared plus pi times 1.5 times 5.22. So that's a lot to type into my calculator. So pi, again, I know you can't see my calculations, but pi times 1.5 squared plus pi times 1.5 times 5.22, I get 31.67 rounded to 2 decimal places. And my units here, inches squared. So there's my surface area. Okay, then we have find the volume. So I need a volume formula. This is a prism. So volume has the easy formulas. It's base times height. Except when you have a cone or a pyramid, then it's 1/3 base times height. So in this figure, the base, I would say, is actually probably the side rectangle, but really on this one, it's not too big of a deal if they're all rectangles. So the area of the base, since it's a rectangle, the area of the base is length times width. In this case, that would be 7 times 6, or 42. So I plug in 42. I have the height. This would be my height if I use this as length and width. So and then I just plug in the height there as 13 and multiply. Grab my calculator here. Let's see, we have 42 times 13 equals 546, and that is centimeters cubed. Awesome. Number 22, again, find the volume. Volume equals base times height. Since our base in this case is a circle, we're going to use pi r squared for that base part. And so really what I need to know here is the r and the h. What I'm given is, careful here, this is the diameter. The radius would be 10. So I know the radius. And, oopsie, sorry. Oh, there it is. The height, I know